My name is Caroline Dorn, and I'm here with my interview partner, Izzy Pyle. We are interviewing Kyson Weathersbee for the USC Aiken Student Veteran Oral History Project. It's Thursday, October 17th at 3 p.m., and we're in the Ruth Patrick Science Education Center.
When and where were you born?
I was born in Charleston, South Carolina in 1997.
Where is your hometown and where did you go to high school?
So Aiken, South Carolina is my hometown, and I grew up here, went to Aiken Middle, Aiken High.
Is there any experiences at Aiken High that you had that
Uh,
you want to talk about?
One of the biggest influences from Aiken High would be the RTC program. And through that program, I learned a lot about citizenship, the military, and had mentors that were in the Marine Corps and Navy that influenced me while I was in high school.
Do you feel that ROTC influenced you to join the military, like it prepared you for it?
Well, I had that desire beforehand, but I feel that gave me um, more discipline to have before I joined the military.
Okay. Can you tell us about your family?
So my father, he was a Navy veteran, and my uncle, he was in the Marine Corps, and I have a long lineage of family members going all the way back to the Civil War that were in the military. So that's been a really big influence on me and my family.
Are there any ideals or beliefs that your family had that specifically made you become influenced to join the military?
Um, I really don't feel that was the case. All my family members, they only did just one service, just 4 years to 6 years or so. So, probably not.
Okay. So when we did our preliminary interview, you mentioned that you went to Paris Island when you were a kid. Do you feel like that influenced you, or is there anything you saw there that you really liked?
Going to Paris Island when I was, what was that? I was about 5, I think. And the first time I went to Paris Island, it was on 9/11, and it was supposed to be my uncle's family day. However, it was canceled due to the events going on at 9/11. So I feel like that was a major influence on me wanting to join the service. And then also seeing those military members, the base, all those kind of things was a really big influence on me very young at that age.
Okay, so when and where were you inducted into the military?
So I was recruited in Aiken, got medically evaluated in Columbia, and then went to boot camp in Paris Island, South Carolina.
Okay, then what branch of the service did you join?
I joined the United States Marine Corps.
Okay, and you already mentioned that you did boot camp in Paris Island, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was the boot camp experience like for you personally? Was it like what people had told you about it, or did you experience it a little differently?
Um, I say it's kind of like the movies, probably. It's very intense. It's 13 weeks long. You can't laugh or smile, and if you do, everybody will be punished, and then you'll be punished by the people around you. So, I'd say it's very much like the movies.
Okay.
Very intense, strenuous, um, really weeding out the people that are weak-minded, and then just ingraining into you that you just have to do it. The easiest way to get out of boot camp is to finish boot camp, and then if you really want to quit, what they're going to do is make you stay there even longer. So,
It's not really an option.
it's not an option.
So, do you think the transition from civilian life to military life, like through boot camp, do you think that changed your personality traits or changed your outlook on life?
I don't really believe so. I was very independent and disciplined before I joined the military, so I don't believe it really changed as much. I believe I matured a little bit more, but not significantly.
Okay. So, what was the hardest part of your transition to military life? Like, was there a certain part of boot camp where it really clicked? Like, you made that big transition from civilian habits to more military habits? Like, was there a certain moment for you, or was it just all of boot camp sort of helped that?
I think it was probably the first weekend or so. So when you first get there, you stay in your like civilian clothes for about 3 days, and we're like not really doing anything we were getting our gear issued out to us. And, like, I wrote a letter. I started writing a letter, which we weren't supposed to do yet. And I was like, man, this is so easy, blah, 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 blah. And then the drill instructor came out and he found out what we were doing. And we got in trouble for it and got a lot of punishment for that. And he's like, boot camp isn't even started yet. So, I guess that's when it really snapped.
Okay. And what was the highest rank you achieved in the Marine Corps?
So, I'm still serving now. I'm currently in the reserves. I'm a platoon sergeant, and I'm a E3 Lance Corporal.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about the process of moving up, like being promoted in the Marine Corps. How easy or hard is it to get promoted, and what do you have to do? Like, are there specific steps you have to take or specific requirements?
In the Marine Corps, there definitely is. It's one of the hardest branches to rank up in. The first 3 ranks, there's not the biggest requirements. It's usually just a waiting requirement and then going to a seminar. After that, you have to go to rankly requirements and seminars, getting martial arts belts, participating in the MCMAP program, which is the Marine Corps Martial Arts Program. And then also a really big aspect of the Marine Corps is you're promoted based off of your physical capabilities, which you're tested through the combat fitness test and the physical fitness test, and your rifle range, like sharpshooting skills. So those are the main factors that determine how fast you rank up in the military, and well, in the Marine Corps.
So was martial arts something you were interested in before the Marine Corps, or is that something that you just sort of learned once you got there?
That was definitely starting in high school with wrestling, and then when I was in high school, I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that was a really big influence when I started doing the martial arts program in the Marine Corps, and it just took me so far. It just made me dominate, and I got really, really far. Considering my rank, I became a brown belt in the martial arts program when I was still a Lance Corporal, which is a really big achievement. It's not normal.
So you think doing martial arts before you joined the military definitely helped?
It did.
So were you involved in any wars or conflicts specifically?
So I was never on a actual deployment. I was, in the sense, mobilized for a humanitarian reasons. So they mobilized, I want to say, between 500, 700 Marines, and they all came to the Albany, Georgia base, and we helped with relief efforts for the hurricanes, the tornadoes that came through. They sent groups of Marines to Florida to help evacuate during, I want to say, Hurricane Harvey or Sandy, and then in Texas too when a hurricane was coming through there. So a really big part of my job was helping clean up, relief, working in the community around the base, and then also cleaning up the base and getting it back into military standards.
Okay, so with that, helping the community, what were some of the specific things you did besides like evacuating people and stuff like that?
We did beautification projects, so it was kind of fun to do. I went out in the community like a Saturday morning with a group of the people that lived in that city. We went down rows of shrubbery, cut shrubbery. We also went down a river, canoed, and picked up the trash and debris alongside the banks. And then also we went to the middle school and high school, and we mentored children in the community, like people that didn't have a father or parents and things like that. So it was a really big influence on the community.
So do you think that influenced you as well? Like being able to help those kids, things like that, being a mentor and influence to them?
I think that's one of the biggest things I can take back from there is really giving back to the community and helping those children that really don't have that guidance. And then we also had the Young Marines program, which I wasn't able to participate in that. But we had high schoolers and middle schoolers come to the base, and we taught to them about being in the military, what it's about, things like that. And it's really good guidance and builds more citizens and confidence in those people and kind of guides them as they mature.
Okay. So what unit or units did you serve as a part of, and where were they located?
So, the big unit which I served in was in Albany, Georgia, and it was called the RFF, and it had a longer name, but that's just what I remember from it. That was a big name for it.
Okay, and that was in Albany. So,
Mhm.
was that a part of? Were you a part of that unit when you did the humanitarian work and going out with hurricane relief and
Yes.
stuff like that?
Mhm.
Okay. So, were there any major whole unit accomplishments or specific accomplishments that you remember or were particularly proud of? Maybe something you got an award for?
So, right before, well, actually, I found out about it after I got off of active duty. I came back home, but the commandant, he gave us a unit commendation, which is a really high-ranking award, and he gave it to the whole unit from all the work that we accomplished on that base.
Okay. Were there any other specific like awards or distinguishments that would distinguish you from anybody else in your unit or anybody else in the Marine Corps that you received?
Not particularly at Albany.
Okay. So did you have any other service-related injuries or anything like that?
So I had quite a few while I was there. While the running that we do, like I sprained my ankle probably like 3 times. Wrestling in the barracks, I dislocated that same ankle. Doing group PT, we were doing deadlifts and like that same ankle, same leg. Like I got a snap in my kneecap, hip, and ankle all at the same time. That put me out for a long time. So a lot of injuries on that leg.
Okay. So when did you leave the military? I know you mentioned being in the reserves, but when did you leave active duty?
That would be 2018, I want to say.
Okay. So what does being in the reserves mean in terms of like continued training or are units, reserve units sent places like you mentioned before for humanitarian work or something like that, or reserve units sent places like that a lot?
So we got to do a really big operation. It was joint service, which I can't talk about a lot, but it gave us the opportunity to work with people from around the world with different branches in the U.S. and outside the U.S. And it gave us the opportunity, just serving normally just once a week, to come together for roughly a couple months and kind of practice what real life scenarios would be and to get better equipped with our jobs. And particularly at that training event, um, I was the only person working in my particular job at where I was, and I received a commander's commendation for uh, all the efforts and things that I was able to do while I was there. So it was really unexpected, and it was a really big achievement. I was the one of 3 people that got any kind of award out of the couple thousand Marines that were there.
Wow. Okay, so you mentioned your specific job being part of logistics when we were doing our preliminary interview. So tell me a little bit more about what being part of the logistics means.
So logistics would, I kind of describe it as moving things out from one place to another. We receive stuff, send stuff, issue stuff. All the equipment when Marines are going to go on deployment or get to their units, whatever, that's something that we give those Marines. If there's a unit, say, overseas, and they need X, Y, and Z, they put in an order for it and we ship it to them. Some other things we do is send food too, perishable items, clothing items. Another really big part of my job is I usually end up being like the camp commandant and making sure all the Marines in my unit, they eat, because our job, we usually end up being a support to the main purpose of whatever our unit is. So my main unit is ammo techs. So their main job is shipping out ammunition, controlling ammunition, blowing things up, things like that. So I supply them with things, and then also I'm tasked with making sure everybody eats and they have what they need and they're clothed, have cots, and everybody's okay.
So before or after the military, did you attend any colleges besides USC Aiken?
So right when I graduated, I enlisted, and then I started Aiken Tech. So before like going on that active duty, um, I went to college for about a semester.
When did you enroll at USC Aiken?
This is my first semester. I'm currently transitioning from Aiken Tech to USC, so this is my first semester here on campus.
Is there any reason that you chose USC Aiken?
Well, this is my hometown, and I kind of want to be closer to family. So
What are you majoring in?
I'm studying finance and business, and also taking extra accounting classes. Kind of relate a lot.
So how have you found the transition from military life to college?
Some people find it really hard. I was really excited about it. Like, my job was just exhausting, and we were always deadline. We aren't gonna get off work until we finish this today. We're not gonna get off for the weekend until we finish this. So we work weekend after weekend, and this wasn't like a deployment. Normally, like a deployment, you do that, but this was just in the U.S. doing this. So when I came back home and I started going to school, I was relieved. I was excited. I was like, I'm just gonna be like studying and not be sweating. Like, that was the biggest thing, because we worked in warehouses, and it'd sometimes be 10 degrees or 20 degrees hotter than it was outside. So it was nice to
So
have
you
the
feel
AC.
like this is like just a good break for you?
Yeah.
Do you have a spouse or any children?
I have no children, and I'm currently engaged.
What are your plans after you finish school?
So when I finish school, probably around that fall, we'll end up getting married. We'll buy a house. And then you said just plans after school? Immediate after school? So just immediately after school, buy another house, get married, start graduate school, start my own business, and then work towards another internship.
So thinking even further ahead, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
So 5 years from now, I'll probably be owning 3 houses by 5 years, running 2 businesses, and working full-time, and hopefully not having any kids yet.
So with you being in the reserves, how may your plans change if you do have to go back onto active duty?
That'd really throw a wrench in the machine. But I mean, we always have that obligation to do that being in the reserves. So I know I could probably leave everything as is and be able to come right back to it. So I feel like it just push it off only a little bit longer, not be a really big issue.
So you feel like you're in a good place right now?
We're pretty good.
So do you feel as if the military has changed your personality or outlook on life at all after serving on active duty?
It's made me more appreciative. Excuse me. One big thing like I take for granted is definitely AC. And then also having like having family and like friends and people, around. Like you get to meet people from all the world and you make friends and stuff, but it's a different feeling when you have family members and people like you've always had around with you. And then also I grew up a little bit more, moving away from home and then coming back.
So if you could go back in time, would you have changed anything? Or like, do you have any regrets about going on active duty?
Well, what was it? My senior year, like I really didn't know what I want to do. I applied for a bunch of scholarships. I really didn't know if I'd get like over a 3.0 or whatever. I didn't know I was going to get into the colleges I wanted to or whatever. So I was like, I'm going to go enlist. So I was about to graduate and I found out I got a whole bunch of money in scholarships. And then when I went to boot camp and then came back, I found out like there was all these obligations to the scholarships. So I ended up not getting all that money for college. So that was kind of a regret that I lost that scholarship money to go. But I mean, it's been a lot of experience, and I have the GI Bill and other benefits from the military, so I think it's worth it now. And I really wouldn't change it because it's not like you can change it. So it's no worrying about it, I guess.
Do you have any final thoughts or things that you'd like to add?
So some of the biggest rewarding things out of the military that I find is being able to mentor people. Currently, I'm a platoon sergeant, and there's all kinds of issues I have to deal with the Marines in my platoon, the friends I made, other things like that. And I'm responsible for all these people, and like I've always had a desire to later on go back and teach, but being able to mentor to other people is probably the greatest experience I have out of being in the Marine Corps.
So you mentioned a few minutes ago about starting your own business as like where you see yourself after college. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So currently with a school group, we're working on starting a online learning platform. And the next thing I really want to get into is investing in real estate. My uncle, he's a realtor, and then I also study a lot about it. So I want to really get into real estate, and then also manufacturing. So that'll probably be another business that I feel I can get started and be able to manage itself, so I can go and do bigger and better things. And one thing I really want to work towards after I really get myself financially free and I have more free time to, I want to work with veterans and maybe start a nonprofit to give back to veterans, because I feel a lot of nonprofits, their sole goal is not really a nonprofit, but for profit. A lot of nonprofits you see, like, they'll say they give all this money to veterans or the homeless or whatever, but really 70% is going back to the people that work for the organization, 30% goes back. Like, I understand you have to pay the people that work there, but I feel there's organizations that need to do better, and I feel like I could change that.
So do you think your degree or the major you chose will help you? Is that one of the reasons why you chose the major you did?
Mm-hmm. So finance, everybody that I've ever talked to, like, they've always told me finance gives you the solid foundation you need to do just anything. A lot of the people that I talk to that are entrepreneurs and are just doing great things right now, they started in finance, they did a little bit of work in finance, and now they're doing just amazing things. They didn't stay in finance. But finance gives you an understanding of the value of money, what you can do with money, and how it flows. So there's a lot of room to grow with the finance major.
So are there any interesting places or things you got to go do as a part of your unit in the Marines? Did you get to travel anywhere fun?
I originally, one of the biggest things, I wanted to do when I joined the military, I wanted to go travel the world. And that's when I went to boot camp in Parris Island, South Carolina. I went on a bus. Then I went to school in North Carolina. Then I went to combat training in North Carolina. And I got stationed in Albany, so I really didn't get to travel that much. I got to go to a few other places, Florida, Texas, and Michigan, but nowhere out of the country for the Marine Corps. For school, I got to go to Australia, so that was pretty neat.
Right. Is there anything we missed or anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, that's fun. Well, I guess there's the traditions of the Marine Corps. I feel like we hold our traditions to a better standard and value than other branches do, and we really hold that value today just in our uniform. So we call ourselves leathernecks because back in the early 1800s, late 1700s, our main job was stationed on naval vessels and we're fighting pirates. And we wore leatherneck collars around our neck to defend ourselves against sword attacks from pirates. So today, in honor of that, in our dress blue uniform, we have a tight-fitting leather neck collar that goes around our neck, and we still wear that today in memory of that. And then also, we're called Tuvenhound, or Devil Dog, because the Battle of Battlewood, we're fighting against the Germans. We're being shot at, attacked, and we didn't have ammo, and the Marines, they continuously fought, and they killed the Marines with their bare hands while being shot at. And the Germans assumed we were just demons from hell, so they called us Tuvenhound, which means devil dog. So that's another thing. We also have the Marine Corps Ball, which it's just a static thing that we celebrate every year. And it's been over 240 years, but every single year, November on the 10th, we have our birthday ball, and we celebrate, we talk about the history. We have a pageant where the Marines go through the different uniforms that the Marines have always worn since we were first founded. And we do a tradition where we have the oldest Marine and youngest Marine. The youngest Marine gives a piece of cake to the oldest Marine. He takes a bite and then gives the cake to the youngest Marine, symbolizing the knowledge and experience of one Marine to another Marine. And then the last thing, the Marine Corps, it was started in a bar, and it's a gun club. It was in 1775 in Philadelphia, and the Tongue Tavern Bar, they wanted to start a fighting force, and their sole job was just fighting, defending, killing. And Continental Congress, they made a proclamation making the Marine Corps. And the first place they recruited was in the Tongue Tavern Bar in Philadelphia. So they found drunks, just the brawly, nastiest looking people they could find in a bar, and that's where the Marine Corps first recruited people. So from all those traditions is what makes the Marine Corps today, and we still follow those traditions. And that's what really separates us from any other branch.
So do you think those strong values and traditions are one of the reasons that led you to join the Marine Corps instead of another branch?
It's the few that join. Joining any other branch, I would have made more money. If you go to ROTC, you get an instant promotion to E3 if you join another branch. The Marine Corps, you have to earn it. You don't get that promotion. If I wanted to join any other branch, I would have gotten paid more. I have a friend that joined a year later than I did. He's like an E5 in the Navy, and I'm an E3.
So it's putting in the hard work and really making a difference. That's why you chose the Marines.
It's about the people that want it.
All right, well, thank you.